What up, Spin Squad? Spinning at you with another video, repping my World Chase Tag team, APK Gray. And today's video is going to be on a highly requested one, 10 plus ways to do a full. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Hey, yo, Nash, you go crazy.
Pocket watching, that's a deathfish. I put a price on your head. I be sleeping with a tech bitch. See that shit right on my bed. Bro, you be capping, you ain't by no action, so we never care what you said. You gon' talk when we feel them look dead. No, I said, bitch, I keep a big. Run that up, catching these 100 bands. I keep a Drake with 100 rounds. Bitch on your block in a 100 days. Constantly order, they ship them out. Always be moving that contraband. Off of that Sprite when I pour it out. My cup be feeling like dirty dead.
First, oh, so close to first tee. So just like in every other one of my 10 plus ways to do a trick, the very first version you should learn is the base version. So for this single full is gonna be a backflip with one spin, just like so. And our second variation of the single full is actually going to be the exact same thing, another backflip with a 360, just with a different arm swing. This is the tricker full or the cheated full. Although I don't like really calling it a cheated full because that kind of has a negative implication, and I personally don't see anything wrong with doing a full in this way. Now, the reason some people would call this an improper full or a cheated full is because when you do it like this, when you have your arms going across on the swing, it's a lot easier to cheat it so much that your hips don't go over your head, so you don't actually flip. But as long as you get your hips over your head and you really focus on flipping instead of just spinning, then I think it's fine. Now, this is gonna be me trying to cheat it as much as I can. So as long as it's literally not just kind of jumping and spinning and doing a 360, I think you're fine to do a tricker full. One last arm swing variation I do want to show you, which I personally like more than a regular tricker full, is kind of doing a middle ground, which is putting one arm like in between your legs. It's kind of weird, but it works for me. So instead of having your arms going straight back like a gymnast full or just a standard full, and instead of doing the other extreme, which is having your arms go completely across, you're going to have one arm go down. So since I twist to the left, my left arm's gonna go in between my legs and my right arm's gonna go back. What this does for me personally is it lets me kind of get into that twisting motion a little bit earlier versus going like this, but it makes sure that I can still swing completely up instead of swinging completely across with a tricker full. So let's go ahead and see that. That personally gives me the most power. But as with most of free running, it's mostly just preference. You just choose, you just feel out every single one, and you just see which one feels best. So moving on from different arm setups and standing full variations, now here's the most common setups for fulls and their variations. So there's the most common, which is a scoot into the full. So scoot here. And then there's your cartwheel to full. So one here. This is probably the easiest setup for a full because you can cheat the full the most. Going a bit more in depth on how you can cheat it, because you're not going to be landing straight backwards and going into your full backwards, you can land sideways like this. So notice how my feet are towards you instead of this way, and I can just pull almost just an A twist. So that's how a lot of people cheat it. The next setup is a chaussee step, okay? So the way a chaussee step is you're going to run forward. This is what's gonna give you momentum, or you can jog or walk, up to you. Now, if you twist left, your last step is going to be off your left foot. You're gonna jump into a 180, land on your right foot, then left foot. Okay, so that's going to change, everything is gonna be switched around if you twist to the right. But since I twist to the left, as in I do my full to the left, my last step is going to be on my left foot, and then jump onto my right left. And obviously, the more speed you have into your chaussee step, the more you can block. But it does take some timing and some practice to get the muscle memory and the body positioning to get any power from the chaussee step. The last setup is a TDR, or a touchdown rise. This is definitely the hardest setup to learn in my opinion, and it is very much a tricker move, okay? So that looks like this. Now, naturally, there are a ton of other setups you can do into a single full. Those are just the ones that I use the most, and I think that would benefit you guys the most. So moving on to actual full variations. So the next full variation I have for you is a wrap full. And a wrap full, in my opinion, is the easiest full to work on after you've gotten your standard full. So the most common way to go into a wrap full, which is doing a full off of your opposite leg. So if you twist left, then you would do the full only off of your right foot, and vice versa. If you twist right, you're gonna land on your left foot from whatever power setup and then go into your full. Now, although doing a cartwheel into your wrap full is probably the most common way to do it, another way that I like to do it that also adds a little bit of creativity is doing it from a macaco, okay? A macaco is this. Notice how I do my macaco on my left hand, landing on my right foot, which sets me up perfectly for the wrap full. Now let's say that you just busted out a banger line, you're trying to figure out what you want to do next. You're set up perfectly for a scoot. You don't want to do a scoot full though, because that's a little too basic. You're like, oh, maybe I want to do a scoot wrap full, but that doesn't work because you land on the wrong leg. What you can do if you've gotten your wrap full is do a scoot tack full. So the way a tack full works is that it's kind of like the middle ground between a scoot full, a standard full, and a wrap full. So if you were to do a tack full, you're gonna go into a regular scoot full. So just like this, as if you're gonna do a regular scoot full, but instead of jumping off of both feet, you're going to only jump off of your wrap full leg, and then you're gonna swing the other leg, okay? So I'm going to lift up my other leg, and then I'm gonna only jump off of this wrap full leg. The reason why I think this tack full is harder than a wrap full is because from a wrap full, you have all the momentum from the cartwheel, and then you can just keep on driving this leg into it, which gives you more momentum. The reason why tack full, in my opinion, is harder is because you're from right here, and you only have drive with this leg from right here. So instead of here and then driving into your full, you're just right here, and then you just go here. It's almost as if you're doing a line and you look like you're gonna do a scoot full, and then at the last second, you're like, psych, I'm gonna kind of do a wrap full, but it's a tack full. Just because it was hard for me to explain that trick, let's see one more slow-mo of it. Now, moving on from all of the weird one-footed takeoff fulls, we're going on to a variation where you jump off of both feet, thank God, but you change your airflow. This is a scoot full up. So what a full up is where you try to do the 360 first as you're setting, as you're jumping, and then at the last second, then you tuck in that backflip. So just to give you guys my experience from learning this trick, because I don't think I made a progression video or anything of me learning this, it was an extremely scary trick. It's always scary to try to stall and then do a flip with any type of trick variation, but it was especially scary with this, but I didn't learn it without a foam pit or in a gym. Essentially, all I did was practice jumping up, doing a 360, and then just tucking like that. And then it eventually turned into jumping up, doing a 360, and then doing kind of like a frisbee type motion. And then once I was confident enough, it was doing jumping up, doing the 360, and then committing to driving my knees over my head instead of across. Here's just a quick example of how I worked up to it. So essentially, after doing that a couple times, I already felt that after I did the 360, when I tucked, I already felt myself already going for the flip and flipping a ton. It was just about fully committing. And of course, that's a fear with most tricks. Usually when you set, you're afraid that when you tuck, you won't actually flip and you'll land in your head. So do that to that progression, you'll feel that that tuck after doing the jump and the 360 will make you flip. And then from there, you just gotta commit. So once you've gotten pretty comfortable with your scoot full, and if you've gotten full up, then you can try this other variation called a full layout. Actually, I don't know if it's called full layout. I'm pretty sure there's a tricker name for it, but I can't remember all those tricker names. This variation I'm about to show you is you essentially do the full, and then before you land, you want to arch out into a layout. Now, although the standard variation is doing just a standard full and then opening up early into that layout, I personally can't do it. I never figure it out. So I always do full up layouts. This is definitely one of the hardest variations that I've learned that's just a single full without adding a second spin into it, because it works on 2 techniques and a lot of timing. You have to know how to do the 360 and do the flip, and make sure that you have time to lay out before you land. Honestly, I wouldn't work on this until you have full ups consistent, because if you can full up, that means you know how to control when you spin and when you flip, which is very important if you're going to try to do a layout after you do your full. But nonetheless, if you feel like your full's pretty good, give it a whirl, give it a try. So now moving on to the variations that I enjoy most, adding in spins. So this is a double full. I preferably do it from scoot, although again, you can do it from all the other setups. You can do standing if you have power, you can do cart if you want to cheat it a bit, but scoot dub. Sheesh. Just like every other variation train, whenever you're trying to do something that's kind of the next level up, in this case, adding a second spin and doing a double full instead of a single full, make sure you have a strong foundation. Make sure you have a really floaty full to the point that you can keep on spinning past just the first 360. If you guys have watched my 10 plus ways to do a cork, when I upgraded to a double cork, I said to make sure that you can cork gyro. And same thing here, make sure that you can scoot full gyro, as in make sure you can do the full and keep on spinning, preferably doing a second spin. And technically, a scoot full gyro is a double full. You're just not straightening out and fully committing to it. So once you've achieved a scoot full gyro, that means you know you have the physical capabilities of doing a scoot double full. It's just about straightening out and committing to it. Now, let's say that you practice your cart fulls really consistently and you got them super good. Let's say that you start getting dub fulls. You start doing a cart dub super consistent. And let's say on top of that, you've got your cart wrap full super clean. You're almost just swinging out of it. Now, if you want, you have all the prerequisites to try a wrap dub full. Wrap dub full, if you're doing this on flap, is always done. I guess I have seen trickers do wrap dub full from scoot, but it is most commonly done, especially for free runners who don't focus solely on just ground tricks, from doing it from cartwheel. Okay, I'm taking the shirt off because I don't have this one consistent, and everyone knows taking your shirt off plus 10 power. That is the first time I've gotten it that clean first try. Sick. Now, with my experience from learning cart wrap dub full, you flip super freaking fast, but that also causes you to make it really hard to get height. So for me, I would flip super low to the ground and I'd flip super fast. So you want to focus just on setting straight up, at least if you're having the same problems that I am. Moving on to the next variation. So the next thing I'm going to show you is going to be essentially the equivalent of working on swinging your corks, and that is popping your fulls. So after doing a full or a dub full, landing on both feet and then being able to transfer that momentum into a second full. My pop fulls are not the best, I will say that right now, because, and you can tell they're not the best, because I keep on overspinning when I land and then kind of going in a circle. If you do pop fulls correctly, you should be going straight back and you're not overspinning. I just love spinning too much. Leveling up when you're ready, you can do a scoot dub into a pop full, or if you're really good, as in better than me, you can scoot dub, pop dub full. But we'll just do a scoot dub pop full. Okay, and the last variation is gonna be, once again, one of my proudest tricks that I've gotten, which is triple full. I'll be doing it from cartwheel, and the way I worked up to cart trip is making sure that on that day, my standing cart dubs were really good. So let's go ahead and feel one out. Such a physically demanding trick, Jesus. And with that, we're gonna end that video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell button to stay updated with all of my newest videos, and so that you can hopefully see my progress to get cart trip consistent, unlike today. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one, and as always, remember to keep on spinning.